Hey, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. What I want to talk to you guys about today is swim baits, and specifically how to get your swim baits to last longer and to work their very best from minute one. Uh, a lot of people just buy swim baits, take them out of the package, go to the lake and fish with them, and there's nothing wrong with that. It works great, but your swim baits do get worn out pretty quickly. They get beat up, they start falling apart. That's just part of the game. But there are some simple things that you can do ahead of time that really are going to extend the life of the bait. The first thing that we'll do, we'll take a Matt Lures bluegill. What I'm going to do is take my brand new bait, haven't fished it yet, grab a razor blade, and I'm going to split it open on the underside of the chin. Just take that razor blade, cut right down the underside, so that I can open up and expose the harness of that bait. We'll open it up just a little bit farther. The hardest thing for people to wrap their mind around is that they're going to take a relatively expensive bait and cut it open. But you have to understand, if you've got the right products, you can put it back together like that never happened. So now you can see into the interior of this bait. You can see the harness. You got lead, and then you've got this other material behind it. What we're going to do is we're going to just open this up enough that we can reach in there with some super glue and take that harness and affix it to the soft plastic. Because right now that harness moves freely inside there, and because of that, over time it's going to rip up, and that harness is going to get pulled out of that bait. But if we super glue it firmly into place, your bait is going to last so much longer. So we've got that bait opened up. Just flay it open. Just put in a little bit of super glue. Push it around in there. And I'm using Gorilla Glue, just a gel, so that I don't make a giant mess while I'm doing this. The one thing that's important as I spread all that glue around in there is that I stop short of the soft plastic at the top. And then I just carefully lay this back down, close it up, and I'm gonna let that firm back up. We'll go to the other side, do the same thing. Reach back in there. This will take a bait, you may have a bait that only makes it 2, 3, 5 fish, and you can take a bait, do a little work on it ahead of time, and get 5, 10, 20 fish out of a bait before it's totaled. Really saves you a lot of money. So I'm just going to let that super glue set up. And then the most important thing is that even though it's all cured on the sides, I'm still open here at the bottom, because we don't want to use super glue on this seam. For that, we're going to switch over to a product called Mend It. A lot of people are familiar with that product. If you're not, Mend It is great stuff for working with soft plastic. What we'll do is we'll put it on both edges, and then when we close it up, it'll literally just melt them back together, and you end up like you never made the cut in the first place. There's nothing there. Totally as strong as it was to start with. So we'll lay some Mend It in there. If you get super glue up on that seam, the Mend It is not going to work the way that it should. So that's why you want to stop that glue away from the edge. Then I'm just going to hold this shut, and I've got to hold it for quite a while to let that Mend It really cure in place. So we'll keep that bait. It's starting to go. I'm just going to set it aside for now. That's the biggest thing that you can do to any soft bait to extend its life. I mean, it works on all these Matt Lures. It's going to work on Huddlestons and Baitsmiths, everything out there. You open those baits up and just take all that soft plastic and glue it to the harness. They last so much longer. The other thing that you can do with these baits, again, talking about super glue and especially Mend It, is you can repair them when they do start getting torn up. I mean, we'll take this other Matt Lures, brand new bait. We're going to deal with Mend It. We'll just cut that tail off that bait. Totally destroyed the bait, you would think. But if you take Mend It, we can melt these two halves back together. The bait is going to be as strong as it ever was. You can do it with super glue, but if you do, you end up with a really rigid spot in the bait, and it can screw up the action because that super glue dries hard. And the Mend It doesn't. Mend It's going to stay completely soft and just let the two surfaces bond back together on their own. So get quite a bit on both of them. Put those back together. I'm just going to hold that while it sets up a little bit. And then with a big cut like this, once it's taken, once it starts to set back up, then I'm going to go around the outside one more time with a little bit more Mend It right over the top of the paint on the outside and just try and get everything to fuse back together. Oh, stopped a little too early on that one. Set that down there, add a little bit more Mend It. Because this product, again, what it's actually doing is melting both halves of the bait. The plastic on both ends is being melted, and then it's just going to cure back into one. So it's not like the super glue where you get this instant bond. I'm just going to hold that. We'll let that one set up. And again, you can do this with anything. You can do it with all your soft baits. Anytime that you have damage, you can take the halves, you can take a crack in a bait, seal that back up. We'll do that to a Huddleston. And get those baits to just piece back together and just keep right on fishing instead of having to buy more baits. It's starting to set up. Alright, we'll set that one down for now. A little bit more on the outside edge. While that extra coat's curing on that side, we're going to go back to this one. This one that's had time to set up. Oh, it's almost there. Starting to be completely closed up again. Like there was never a cut. We're going to let that cure all the way up. Now we'll take a Huddleston. Take that bait, grab your razor blade. We'll say that bait, you made a bad cast, hit it on a dock, something happened, you just slashed that bait open. Now you've got a great big gash in your brand new Huddleston. Your bait's basically ruined. Take your Mend It. Open that gap up. Lay that Mend It in there. Just squeeze it shut. Just go over the outside edge. We're going to let that one set for a minute. Now that one, now you can't even tell that nose was ever cut. That bait's back to normal. The harness is tough inside. That bait is solid, ready to catch a bunch of fish. This one, we need one coat on the opposite side, and it's going to be done like that tail was never cut off. It's amazing. You know, this stuff is cheap too. Mend It, super glue. You know, this is, you can be fully equipped for, I don't know, 10 or 15 bucks. You can take baits. They're expensive baits. You know, you can go through a lot of money on this stuff. You invest 10 or 15 bucks, you can be out on the water. Not only are you saving money, you can save the day. If you're down to your last bait and it starts getting tore up, you can just keep putting that bait back together. Just keep right on catching fish. Yep, there we go. So you can see where the cut was. You can see just a little bit of a seam, but that bait is solid. It's back together, completely repaired. The mat lures, you can see where I made a slice. You can see it in the paint, but the bait itself, that bait's back together, fishing. All good. So simple tips, simple things anybody can do when you're out on the water. Grab some Mend It, grab some super glue. You can completely extend the life of your swim baits, catch more fish, save a bunch of money. I hope this helps. Good luck out there.
Hey guys, Tim Little, Matt Allen, out here chasing that world record spotted bass. Matt and I have both spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours out here in Northern California chasing this fish. Luckily today, finally blessed enough to get one of the giants that we've hooked. We've hooked it multiple times. Got a 10.38 on a certified scale. One of the biggest spotted bass.